Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is Saturday, March 13th, 2021, and it is the new moon in Pisces. And we are going to talk about the astrology for today and that astrology that will unfold and carry us through the rest of the month. So today we're going to look at the energy and the frequencies that are in effect today. And on new moons, whatever energy is in effect at that point in time grows, unfolds, and develops throughout the course of the next lunar cycle as the moon waxes to its fullness and then wanes back through the dark moon back to the next new moon for the following cycle. So we're going to talk about the new moon energetics today, what that means for us, and what that looks like in terms of the coming month. So let's get into it. Good morning. So today, and it's a very special new moon if I do say so myself. I've been studying astrology a long time, and this new moon specifically has me very excited in the context of a lot of other new moons that I've seen over the years. And I'm excited to talk about it, and I'm excited for it. And I really think that it's going to be a beautiful thing for all of us, considering what we've all been through over the course of the last lunar year since the Aries new moon last year. And this is the last new moon because Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac before we start again next month with a whole new cycle of energy for the year. So Pisces every year, generally, this is a sign about release, surrender, opening. It's very feminine in its nature because those are all very feminine qualities. And it's also about unbridled creativity, inspiration, divine connection, spiritual aptitude, and merging with our higher selves or something higher than ourselves. And on the flip side, it can be a lot about escapism and illusion, delusion, manipulation, hiding things, and just generally like trying to run away and not participate. So those are the two dynamics that we're working with when we're talking about Pisces. And Pisces also resonates to the 12th house in the zodiac, which is also about release, letting go, and reconnecting to something higher than ourselves. So every year when we get to the Pisces cycle, this is the time of year according to the natural new year, not the Gregorian calendar that we all follow that said the new year began on January 1st. This is the natural new year, the natural cycles, which correlates to the equinoxes and the solstices. And it says that the beginning of the new year begins with the first new moon after the spring equinox in spring. So it kind of makes more sense on a natural level. And so that's what we use in terms of the energetics when we're talking about the true beginning of the year and the end of the year. And right now, this cycle is the very end of the year. And not only is it the very end of this year, but because of where we're at in the grand cycles of things, we're actually also closing out the entire epic age of Pisces, which is a 2,000 plus year cycle. This cycle correlated with Jesus and the stories of the New Testament in the Bible. And it's been very much this whole 2,000 year period about surrendering to something higher than ourselves and giving a lot of our power away on a lower octave of negative Neptune. In Pisces, we've experienced some of that, but also the utmost in divine truths. Look at everything that Jesus and the New Testament and his ascendance and everything brought us, all of that wisdom, inspiration, truth. But on the flip side of that, it also caused us to surrender a lot of our personal power to the concept of there always be the higher force always being external, and that led us to be in confusion and illusion and have a lot of things hidden from ourselves in terms of the true source of our spiritual nature that comes from the divine, yes, but then through us, and it's our responsibility to become an embodiment of that spiritual energy and to serve with it as Jesus did. So the whole Piscean age is wrapping up now. And we're rapidly transitioning into the age of Aquarius, which is an entirely different dynamic and frequency resonance and just way of being generally. It's much more creative and inventive and ingenuitive and about moving things in a way that empowers the whole and like more along those types of lines. And I'll talk a lot more about the age of Aquarius as we progress through it. But right now, this Pisces new moon cycle is so, it's like the end of the end of the end. It's like the very last chapter. And we use this opportunity in time to really finish off and wrap up all that we carry from not only our lifetimes, this lifetime, but from the last 2,000 years, all of our ancestors, all of our genetics, our family lines, everything that has led to us being here in this moment in 2021 is ingrained and embedded within our DNA and within our consciousness and our subconsciousness. And at this time, all of us here on Earth right now, it's really up to us to go deep inside and to clear all of the subconscious patterns of belief and behavior that have kept us perpetuating certain patterns and cycles and beliefs and ways of being that have attracted the same circumstances into our lives, a lot of times generation after generation after generation. And now is the time to discover the root of these issues and to release, let them go, fully open, and replace all of those old ideas and feelings and beliefs and understandings and dogmas and ingrained patterns and cycles with the new energy that's coming in, that's going to help us develop, grow, and build going forward into the age of Aquarius. So, this new moon in Pisces is a big deal. We're wrapping everything up. And because it's such a big deal, I think universe, God, blessed us with the most amazing gifts during this particular new moon to help us with that whole process, because it's not easy. It's especially not easy for a lot of us sitting here who have been raised in this modern day and age and are so disconnected from from spiritual truths and the rules of this reality, and we don't really have any type of understanding of why or how really anything operates and works. Yet it's our responsibility to release all of the karma of our entire genetic lines so that we can transition, evolve, metamorphosize, transform into these beings of higher consciousness that are able to create a more functioning and whole and grand society for everyone in alignment with real spiritual truths and not illusions of them or false interpretations of their true meaning that people have utilized in a lot over the past Pisces age to control. And so we're being assisted in tremendous ways today, and let me get into it. Let me get into the energetics, the Sabian symbols, which are the specific frequency resonances of each of the degrees of the zodiac. And those describe to us, along with the planetary positions, what the universe wants from us, the dynamic interplays that are in effect right now, and what those potentials are, and how we can utilize them to their highest octaves, their highest potentials going forward throughout the course of this month. So, today, for our new moon. And a new moon is when the sun and the moon come together to the same degree in the zodiac and conjunct. And that happens once each month per sign. Every once in a while, it will happen twice. But for the most part, it happens one time a month in each sign. And like I said, when the new moon occurs, that is our signal to start to plant our seeds so that they can grow throughout the course of that month as the energy expands with the moon. Just a minute. Okay, so the first degree that we're going to look at today, of course, is the degree of the new moon, the degree where the new moon is occurring. And that is today at 24 degrees of Pisces. The sun and the moon will conjoin at 24 degrees of Pisces. And the Sabian symbol for 24 degrees of Pisces is an inhabited island. And this is going to tell us a lot, an inhabited island. And the degree of and that's where the sun and the moon are conjuncting today. And then the degree of the earth today, which is always exactly opposite the sun. And the earth, it represents, what we build with, the resources that we have, where we feel solid, and what gives us a stable footing and ground to grow and to create with the earth. And that the degree of the earth is 24 Virgo, the opposition of 24 Pisces. And that degree is Mary and her little white lamb. And so I'm just going to talk about these two degrees really quickly, how I'm interpreting them, and then I'll move on to talk about some of the other big things that are happening today, because there's a lot of really amazing energy that's happening alongside this new moon, and I can't wait to talk about it. But first, we'll talk about the degrees because I feel like these are significant. So, an inhabited island, that's the degree of the sun and the moon for the new moon. So that means that degree, an inhabited island, that energetic, that resonance, that feeling is what is going to be perpetuated throughout the course of the next cycle. So that idea is important. And when I think of the degree of an inhabited island, I think of something that's completely self-sustaining. And it's inhabited. So there are resources there. And the people that are inhabiting that island don't need to go anywhere else to get the things that they need to survive. And so to me, that gives me a big clue about this month, that we're being called to each be as our own inhabited islands. And that doesn't mean, being completely isolated, although it does make sense in the context of all of the social constrictions that we've had since, basically since the Jupiter or the Saturn-Pluto conjunction last year. But it tells me that, when you think of it that way, it does tell me that, yes, for over the course of the next month, we may still be somewhat distant, socially distanced. But to me, what it's really saying is that we all need to create our own inhabited island in and of ourselves. We need to create ourselves in a spiritual state or in a state of consciousness where we feel that in and of ourselves, we have all of the resources that we need within us to survive. That we don't need to go to look to any other person or body of, or piece of land, or, connected by a peninsula like mainland. No, we are an inhabited island. So we have everything that we need to sustain and to survive right here within us or within our family unit. And I think that in the context of other things that are going on, just generally in terms of, socioeconomic situations in the world, and also in terms of just like the geopolitical scene, I think, and also in terms of a lot of the other aspects that are going on, I think that we are all being called to turn inward to really cultivate our talents and our gifts, which are our inner resources, and then to use those to create self-sustaining an island, a self-sustaining mechanism where you are your own supply, you are your own fuel source. You don't depend on any other large organizations, any mainland to provide you what you need to survive. And because it's an inhabited island, we know that those resources are enough to keep the inhabitants alive. And I think that we can have faith with this degree and effect that we have what we need and we are our own islands, and we just need to mine our resources. We just need to discover where they are, what they are, and how we can use them to self-sustain and to be our own islands. So I think that's significant. That's how I'm interpreting this signal. Like I said, it's not so much about being forcibly isolated, it's just not needing support from the external structure as much. I really feel like God and Spirit is urging us in so many ways. If you've watched my videos this past week leading up to the new moon, you've heard me say over and over and over again, it's about like, because all of the energetics have been signaling that it's all about figuring out what it is that we have that we can use to create our own self-sustaining system where we're not dependent anymore upon bending ourselves into other people's boxes so that we can receive a paycheck. Where, universe doesn't want us anymore to put our individual skills, talents, passions aside for survival. Universe now wants us to take the gifts, the treasures, the jewels that we each have inside of us, and those are all going to be totally different. They're totally different, but we all have things that we are individually drawn to and passionate about and good at, and the world needs every single one of those things. And right now, universe is really just asking us to find what we have to contribute and stop neglecting what we have to contribute so that we can do a thing for someone else that's not even necessarily in alignment with who or what we are, just so that we can gain those resources externally. Now we need to become our own islands and find our own resources so that we can sustain ourselves. And we can do that. Our island is inhabited. Our people are surviving and they can be thriving. Okay? And now that I've talked about that, I'm going to move and talk about the degree of the earth for a minute. Because again, if you've been watching my videos this week, there is this extreme underlying theme of innocence, purity, naivety, joy, almost like virginity, and inner child. Like, we need to get back to embracing pureness and joy and wonder and splendor and just being and perceiving life through the eyes of innocent children, and that every day is just filled with wonder and happy surprises and excitement and just the splendor of the little things and holding that inside of us. And I'm saying this today again because, again, for the new moon, the earth, the ground that we stand on, the fundamental surface of things from which everything grows, is discharging the energetic of Mary and her white lamb, closing out the age of Pisces with the new moon in Pisces, the end of the end, the last of the last. And here we have a reference to Mary and her white lamb. How much more clear can God be with the message that we have to stand on our innocence and our pureness and our joy and our just general Mary vibe, Mary Magdalene, like, it's, and again in the feminine, Pisces is so feminine and receptive, and Mary, feminine, receptive, open, loving, peaceful. That has to be our baseline. That's what God is asking for. That's what the universe is asking for. And I can't emphasize it enough. It's just everywhere. I'm not just saying it because of this one degree. As we get further through this, you'll see it's just everywhere. Every single thing is saying, get back to innocence, connect with your true self, connect with higher source, be open to, get comfortable with your intuition. That is so powerful. Follow hunches, epiphanies, flashes of insight, all of those things, and figure out what your island has to offer. And really cultivate that. Cultivate your inner resources, because that, going forward, the world is about to change, guys. It's not going to be tomorrow, but it's going to be sooner than we think. And we have to be prepared. And this cycle is asking us to prepare for that. And the way that it's asking us to prepare for that is to prepare our consciousness through elevating our own being in energetics by releasing things that have kept us back for years and years, if not generations and generations, looking inside to ourselves to figure out what it is, what our resources, what our talents are that we can passionately use and be joyful about and be interested about to create something that we can provide to the world so that we can become a self-sustaining island in and of ourselves and not dependent on the mainland, okay? In terms of big business, organization, sitting in a cubicle, doing what you have to do, waiting till living for Friday every week so that you can have your own time because your life is not your own time. No. Going forward in the age of Aquarius, our job is to do what we are. And we can't find what we are until we go inside, figure it out, connect with it, let go of everything that keeps us in self-sabotaging cycles, and refill ourselves with the purity and the love and the peace and the openness and the ability to receive of the divine feminine, Mary. It's just like, it's amazing. Pureness as our foundation for building. That's what this is asking us for. And becoming self-sustaining as an island is self-sustaining. Those are the degrees and the energetics that are in effect for this cycle, and I really think that we need to take them to heart, and we need to really work to align ourselves with this, because if we do, this is what will grow throughout this cycle, and that's what we need to happen, so that when we get to the new moon in Aries, we are consciously prepared for what's coming next, and that's the entrance truly into the new energetics, the new world, second renaissance, the age of Aquarius. So moving on. The next big deal with today, with the new moon in Pisces, is that there is an exact Neptune-Venus conjunction. In Vedic astrology, they call that Cassimi when they come to the exact same degree in the sky. And it's happening in close conjunction to the new moon itself. So Neptune is a very slow-moving planet. It takes Neptune a really long time, like over a month, to move degrees. And Neptune has been discharging the degree of 21 Pisces for a few weeks now. And the degree of Neptune today is very significant, and you'll understand why when I tell you what the degree is. But first I need to say that Neptune is the planet that rules Pisces. So there are a lot of the same archetypal themes between Neptune and Pisces. They both resonate to, similar, like they have the same energetic signatures. Release, Neptune is the ruler of the seas in traditional mythology. And it's all about, Neptune's about divine connection, divine inspiration, divine creativity, unconditional love. Neptune is the higher octave of Venus, actually. All of the most beautiful, loving, creative, peaceful energies that you can imagine in connection to spirit and divinity come through, and divine truth come through Neptune. However, the flip side of Neptune is that it's also the most mysterious planet. It shrouds things in illusion. It can be extremely, extremely, extremely deceptive. And Neptune rules manipulation and inverting things and taking a high spiritual truth about something and then diluting it and using it in more nefarious or elusive or secretive ways. So those are the polarities that we're working with when we're dealing with Neptune. But in terms of the new moon today, Neptune's positioning in Pisces is very significant because it's at its full strength in Pisces, and it has its fullest potential to do its best work to its most high octave and its most powerful strength because it's in the sign that rules it. And that's how astrology works. When a planet lines up with its ruling sign, then those two energies are combining flawlessly, basically, and there's no friction. And so they can streamline really well their energetic resonance, and it sort of like elevates the strength of both of them. It empowers both of them. So Neptune is very, very, very powerful in Pisces. And the degree that Neptune is discharging and has been discharging leading up to this new moon is, and I've talked about this in some of my other videos, is a little white lamb, a child, and a Chinese servant. And I've been describing this degree as really evoking, again, that gentleness, pureness, naivety, innocence, childlike, inner child, childlike nature, seeing things just from their most basic and wondrous and splendid and exciting point of view, like from the eyes of a child. And we have the white lamb. The white lamb energetic comes out twice today. And I mean, I personally don't believe in coincidences, and I think that this is a definite signal. The white lamb symbolizes innocence, purity, gentleness, youth. And we're all being called to embody the earth and Neptune receive through divine connection these qualities, because that's what we need to hold in order to evolve and move forward next month. And the thing that is special, extra special about this today is not only is Neptune conjunct the new moon at 21, the new moon's at 24 Pisces, Neptune is at 21 Pisces. So that's only a 3-degree orb, and that's a pretty tight conjunction. But Venus, like I said, is also at that degree, discharging that degree, conjunct that degree. And Venus and Neptune together, well, Neptune is the higher octave of Venus. And Venus is exalted in Pisces, which means she's at her full strength and very powerful, really loves being in Pisces. So we have the planet who rules Pisces, the planet who's exalted in Pisces, and the planet who's the higher octave of the planet that's next to it. And both of those planets correlating to peace, love, openness, receptivity, beauty, art, music, just inspiration, intuition, divine connection, and then supersized because Neptune is the higher octave of Venus, and then supersized because they're in that Pisces. And that is so significant. I literally, I don't know how even to stress the significance of the blessing that brings to us. I'm going to read about Neptune conjunct Pisces from my favorite astrology book, Planets in Transit, because I want you just to listen to what this aspect in transit can have a tendency to do, because whatever aspects are in effect on the day of the new moon, like I said in the beginning, those are what grow throughout the course of the month. Those walk us through the month, and those energetics resonate throughout the course of the month. So I'm just going to read this because it's a good, it will help, okay? So Venus conjunct Neptune, it says, at its highest, this transit denotes a refined spirituality in love, with a total lack of selfishness and a feeling of complete soul union with a loved one. At its worst, you might be disappointment in a loved one who did not live up to your expectations, which were probably unrealistic in the first place. Daydreaming, probably the most common effect of this transit, is usually harmless and pleasant as long as you are aware of reality. You will experience a refined sense of beauty and a desire to have your surroundings be as lovely as possible. However, you are not in a practical frame of mind and should postpone anything that requires good judgment in relationships or finances. So, I'm not done reading yet, but I just want to interject right here and say, yes, this is true, and this is also goes along with the theme of being in the Pisces new moon. This is not the time to start anything new. This is not the time to make any big decisions, life-changing decisions. This is the time to sort things out in your own mind, to reevaluate what's important to you, what you value, what you love, what you create, and to figure out how, like the sun and the moon say, you can use those things to cultivate your own self-sustaining system, to be your own island. This is not the time, especially with money and relationships, to make big decisions, because Neptune can kind of cloud judgment and thinking a little bit, but it is the time to create and to connect and to harness your intuition and to use your creative potentials to figure out how you can sustain yourself and what you can provide to the people that you love, because empathy is so strong right now. This also really creates, like he said in the beginning, a lot of empathy and a lot of ability to connect to the emotions of others. So it gives you a really good opportunity to tune into what other people need in terms of figuring out what it is that you can give. So that's really helpful. Okay. If you are creative or artistic, this transit indicates a day when your creativity can be truly inspired. So all month, we have truly inspired creativity. The combination of Venus and Neptune gives you the ability to visualize ideas in your mind and translate what you see into physical reality. This is important, and that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing is we are searching ourselves for our own creative potential that we can manifest into reality and create our own island. This combination is useful in art, but less useful in relationships, where it tends to confuse the ideal with the real. The artist's goal